Now, here's something I'm curious about. We talked about monsters, demons, ghosts, aliens. Are monsters, aliens, ghosts, the boogeyman, are these things potentially real in life? Or is everything an imagination that a demon is chasing me in my room? That something is a spiritual ghost is trying to harm me? Or is this cultural, religious, societal visualizations, imaginations, stories that have been imprinted in our mind and our hearts, in our being, where our brain fantasizes about these things so much that it believes these things are true? Or is it just the imagination that makes it feel like it's true?
Oh, it's a big one.
As a neuroscientist, researcher, what have you discovered?
What have I discovered? So there's me, there's the person, Baland, the scientist, and then there's the science. Personally, I'm a spiritual person. I'm a Muslim, and I believe that there's a spiritual world. There's a world that we cannot see, an unseen world. And many of my scientist colleagues, I've worked with I've been fortunate. I wasn't even of my doing. I was just blessed to work with some of the greatest scientists, and behind closed doors, they'll believe in things like prayer and God and things like that. So
even though it's not science-based,
they
still do it because they know the benefits of it.
They know the benefits, but also who says it's not real? Right. And I think that when you think about it, right, 100 years ago, 150 years ago, if I was telling you, Louis, on your body right now, there's all these small animals crawling, trillions of them on your skin, and they're.
Said you're crazy.
I said you're crazy.
But we know there's
a microscope, right?
There is a microbiome, and
yes, and we developed and we invented the microscope, and now we know that they're all this, right? So before the before we invented the microscope, it was insane to say this. So same goes with a metaphysical reality around us. Spirituality, God, whatever, the unseen world of sorts. And who says it doesn't exist? So science cannot answer whether there's actually spirituality. Now, my work has been, ironically, even though I believe in spirituality, the fact that has been to understand why do we see ghosts and what's going on in the brain. I have to be truthful to the science and say, well, look, when I zap this part of the brain called the TPJ, if I zap it with an electrical current, you will feel like there's a ghost behind you mimicking your postures and movements. So we can create a ghost.
This part of your brain.
This part of the brain, a little structure in the brain.
Electrical shock there.
It could even be a magnet just stimulating it, and you will feel like disrupted. When it's disrupted, you will feel like there's a ghost behind you. It's mimicking you. So if you move like your hand like this, it will also move its hand. So if it kind of feels like you is, in fact, we scientists say it is you. We just create a double of you. It's a copy of you.
That's
right?
interesting.
And that has to do with the fact that a sense of self is created in the brain. Your brain uses sensory modalities like touch, vision, hearing, and then weaves together a sense of a self. Comes about in those regions in the brain, the TPJ and the parietal. This kind of a multimedia studio, kind of like your studio. We have it up here, and that creates a sense of a self. It weaves it together. You can disrupt that, and then you will feel like there's a ghost in the room. Some of the same structures are disrupted during sleep paralysis as well. So that can explain why there are ghosts there. I have a whole theory. I spent 10 years writing about how these structures can affect, make you see ghosts in the room. But that doesn't change the fact that could be energies from other dimensions and galaxies and worlds that we cannot see, spiritual dimensions, that I cannot negate. In fact, I may even believe it personally, that, that there are things like that.
Yeah.
So when I go and do my science, I obviously don't think in those ways because I have to be truthful to the knowledge that is currently present. I don't have a microscope to, peer into
the spiritual
world, but I can tell you this is the brain. This is the area of the TPJ that's disrupted. This is the prefrontal that's shut down. This is the lower part of the brain that's paralyzing you. So that I can say, and that's my job to say. And often you'll feel like, when people learn about the scientific basis of sleep paralysis, the fear vanishes as well. So that's very helpful.
Yeah.
But you asked about meditation and meditation therapy maybe. So maybe I can go into that because that's a very practical way to deal with it. The way I came, invented this therapy, and this was during my grad school years when I was in Cambridge, England, and over there we spent a lot of time thinking about new ways of doing therapies and all that. And I was thinking about, like, how can I help people with sleep paralysis? What's the way to help them? And I noticed that a lot of people with sleep paralysis will say, when I have the experience, I pray to God, and it actually helps. The monster seems to dissipate. Myself too, when I was there, and to be honest with you, I started to pray too, because I thought I was going to die. So I was like, a few times I was like, God, help me, what's going on? I tried to do that, and it kind of seems to help, to pray to a deity, or having some kind of belief and hope in something greater coming and rescuing you. So I wanted to bring that element into the experience. So the therapy is 4 steps. The first step is the following. It's called cognitive reappraisal. That's the fancy name for it. And it's basically a mental shifting of the experience. So you say, I know I'm having sleep paralysis right now. I know I'm being attacked by something, but because it's just sleep paralysis, there's no reason for me to be scared. There's no reason for me. People all around the world are having sleep paralysis now. Nobody's dying from this. So I'm doing a cognitive restructuring of the whole experience. So it's sort of a mental interpretation shifting. That's the first element. The next step that you do is, it's called emotional and psychological distancing, meaning given that it's the brain, given that it's the mind playing tricks on you, there's no reason for me to be scared, so I psychologically distance myself from it. I'm just gonna think of it as something that's far away, and I won't actually let myself get absorbed into it. That's the second step. Now here comes your meditation step. We know that the brain has very limited attentional capacities at any given time. I can only attend to so many things in the room. I don't have infinite attention. It's the frontal and parietal regions of the brain, the front and this part, that's involved in attentional capacities. Have you seen that YouTube clip of there's like there's somebody playing with a ball, and then there's a clown going moonwalking, and then you don't notice it because you're
focused on
counting the ball. So attention is very limited, right?
It's what magicians do very well.
What magicians
it's sleight of
do very well.
hand, it's perception,
Exactly.
it's grabbing attention here and something else happening there.
Absolutely. So I wanted to incorporate that by hijacking your attention to something positive. So it goes something like this. You focus all your attention on something extremely positive, like God, your mom's face, your niece's face, whatever brings you a joyful memory. You bring it to light, you bring it to mind, and you think about it in an intensely focused manner. So it's a kind of a focused attention meditation. Now, the powerful thing about this is that not only are you redirecting your attention away from thinking about monsters and all the memory parts of the brain, all the grandmothers talk about monsters hijacking the experience, you are sort of shifting the focus of the emotional core of the brain to something positive. And we actually know that there are circuits in the brain from the emotional part that goes to the visual part, and they can tell you what to see in the world, literally. Meaning that if I have a fearful mindset, if I have fear centers in my brain bubbling away, it can affect what I see in the world.
Yes.
Versus having if you're very calm, soothed, in a very relaxed, positive mindset, it can also affect your world and worldview. And so in that way, I'm trying to also bias the visual parts of the brain. So you have that as well. So you focus on something extremely positive, and then a fourth step will be to then what's called a muscle relaxations. You don't try to move or try to act out the paralysis sensations. You kind of stay in a mindful, non-judgmental thought, mindset about that. You don't really do anything. You don't try to move or try to become agitated and, oh, I'm going to scream and I'm trying to child do that. You know, I'm just going to stay mindful and just let it slide, kind of. So you do these 4 steps during the sleep paralysis experience. And as you say, we were very fortunate to see a 50% reduction.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.